Or in a show. Whoa. You were on a cruise?
I'm on a cruise monthly.
As usual.
Lucky duck. Oh,
Very jealous. Gary
so
was.
organize my part of my office sounds really important. Something I need to do. Sushi. Okay,
It was
I do
very
like
good
sushi.
for my mental health.
Absolutely. I just watched a video about a guy going off about I cleaned my room and now I can think. Um, you were in New York, that's right. And I was in Fort Lauderdale for a wedding. I danced for like 3 hours, I think, and my body was really sore because I'm normally just sitting in a chair all day. Okay, this is some really great things. Deadpool. Woo, somebody
Yeah,
give us
that's
how many Rotten Tomatoes would you give it? I'm kidding.
but I enjoyed the previous one more than
Yeah.
this one.
All right. Okay, so there are mixed reviews on that movie, but we'll probably all eventually see it at some point, right? Anyway, whether we like it or not. All right, so I'm going to share my screen finally here. I just had to make sure that I was presenting in the other window, and I have the link to go and join me in Mentimeter while we're introducing things. You can do this on your mobile device by scanning the QR code on the screen on the bottom left corner. You see that covering up Astro, sadly. And then you could also click the link in the chat and bring it up in a new tab, but you might want to stay kind of like watching what's going on and then have your second device if you have your phone handy or a tablet or something. You can scan. So you can do that. Take your time. We have a little time before there's anything interactive going on, but it'll help you later on. So we're going to get started with introducing all of the leaders that are part of the hosting groups of this event. This is called Intro to Salesforce Success Plans and Community Feedback, session number 2. And we've changed things up a bit. So if anyone was here last time, it's going to be quite different. And hopefully you will get the feedback that Salesforce is looking for with regards to their success plans. So let me move on here. We got Ama, Gabby, who couldn't make it, unfortunately. Ama is the admin group leader of Orlando. Gabby is the user group leader of Pompano. Is that Pompano Beach? Did I miss that? Gary and Chatura are the dev group leaders for Orlando. And we have me, Talia Johnson, and Leah. We're the group leaders for the user group in Gainesville, Florida. We're probably the only people from Gainesville here. So the goal of this session is to provide, let's see, if anyone wants to mute their mics, they can at this time. We'll be moving into the presentation part. The goal of this session is to provide an overview of how the easy and expert guidance provided by Salesforce Success Plans can help you learn best practices around the healthy habits that drive successful adoption, and to also receive user feedback from Salesforce professionals on your experiences with Salesforce Success Plans. And kind of another layer of this is that we have a link that you can get through the Mentimeter presentation to a feedback survey. And we'd love it if you could fill that out at your earliest convenience and submit that to let the Salesforce Success team know how you're doing and what you've been doing to find success in your adoption. So I hear another microphone. Okay, so Gary and Chatura, do you have something? Did you want to say something, or do you want to mute your microphones?
I should be muted already.
I see. I'm going to see if I need to do it. No, I can't. I don't actually have control of any of that. Go. Gary is still green. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you so much. And then next we have, there was just a little like white noise I could hear. What is adoption? If you don't know already, there are probably many definitions for it, but this one came directly from Salesforce. And it's how effectively and extensively an organization uses the Salesforce platform and its various features to achieve business goals. It's not just about having implemented Salesforce, it's about how well the platform has been integrated into the business's day-to-day processes. Okay, and Salesforce user adoption is related to these three main areas. These came from a Salesforce Ben article, which is linked at the bottom. One is onboarding, how new users take to Salesforce, like ducks to water, or cats to water, like fleeing it. I'm sure you've had that experience. Tracking, gathering quantitative and qualitative metrics for how users interact with Salesforce, and then optimization, making interface or automation changes, automation, I always want to say automation, automation changes that will improve your productivity. Okay, now what adoption guidance and support does Salesforce provide to its customers? And here to help us with that is Crystal. I hope she's here. I didn't actually look.
I'm
Crystal
here.
Nowinski, awesome. She's from the Orlando area, and she is going to share with us what she knows about the guidance that Salesforce provides to its customers. And here we go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Talia, and the rest of the team for helping put this together. It's really, really appreciated. So as Talia was saying, I work for Salesforce. I'm a senior product manager on the offer management team, which is within our customer success group. And we focus specifically on our success plans, which I'm going to go over with you guys quickly in just a second so we're all familiar with those. But I want to start with how we can help drive adoption. So some of the things that I've learned over my 15 to 16-year career in the ecosystem, I've been an admin, I've been a consultant, I have been in customer success, working for 2 different ISVs, and I spent the last few years working in product management, both for customers and now for Salesforce. And some of the things I've just learned from working with the product for so long and working with our research and insights team on all of the research that they've done with customers and partners on our more mature products like Sales and Service Cloud is that user behavior drives adoption, and alignment between business process and feature usage helps drive user behavior. And there are some healthy habits, we call them, that we can leverage to help drive successful adoption, and Salesforce resources that you can use to help build and master those skills if you're not already doing them. So we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to quickly run through, for those who are not familiar with our success plans. So we offer success plans that combine technical support with best practice guidance from our team of experts. We have 3 levels. At the top tier is Signature Success, which is our most personalized, proactive service to help you get maximum business value out of Salesforce. So this is usually for our more enterprise tier customers who have more than one cloud and are looking to run their business better with Salesforce. We also have Premier Success, which is most of our customers have this. So Premier provides specialized guidance from expert-led programs and provides fast support, so expedited SLAs. With Premier, we also have the 25% discount for Trailhead Academy classes, bulk certifications to help teams accomplish their goals faster. Some of the engagements that we have between Signature and Premier are things like expert coaching, annual technical health reviews, architecture design reviews, health checks, onboarding. And then we have Standard, which is what all of our customers receive. It includes all of the self-guided and self-service resources we know and love, like Trailhead, our help portal, communities, knowledge articles, and product webinars. So that, again, that's just a really quick overview of our success plans. Does anybody have any questions on this before we move on to the next slide, just to make sure everybody's good? We're good. Okay, cool. We can move on to the next.
Okay. So this is where
Oh, right.
you'll use
The
your,
interactive part.
yes, if you can answer this question, which of these have you used? Okay, got 2 responses so far. If you haven't joined the Menti presentation on your mobile device or in another tab, you can go to menti.com and type in the code at the top of the screen. We've got 3 responses so far. Another one's come in. Let's see, how many people do we have? We have, there's 14 total participants. I am not entering mine. Neither is Crystal.
No.
So maybe
Although
we
I
might have,
used all 3.
yeah. All right, looks like Emma's trying to work out hers if she's not done it already. We've got about 7 participants in this right now. Okay, so we don't have anyone who said that they've used Signature, but it looks like there's a progressively greater number who've used the rest of them or none of them.
I'm trying to
Small
log in.
sample size. Okay, which one have you used? Which
Uh,
one would you say? All of
Premier,
them, or?
Premier customer. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and you can actually select more than one if you had noticed that, but
Yes,
okay.
because they're all additive, right? So if you are using Signature, you would also be using Premier, but we don't look to have any Signature. And like I said earlier, Signatures normally are more enterprise customers. We'll go over some of those engagements. This way, if anything sounds like it would be helpful, right? People can reach out to their AEs and get more information. But like I said, Premier is the bulk of what most of our customers use. And I'm just going to call out all of y'all who said none, because if you use Trailhead and if you used help and support, you used our success plans. So nobody has never used none if you've used those, right? Those engagements. So if you've used Trailhead, if you have a Trailhead account, if you go into our help and training portal, if you look up our knowledge articles, that's all part of standard. So we actually would add those 5 to the 2 bucket.
Right. Right.
So, but I love that we put that in there, because I think that there's a lot of misconception around what is included in our success plans and what is not, right? So I think it's a really good way to call out the fact that you guys are actually using, right? Some of the things that we put out there, a lot of it is our digital engagement, right? These are the things that are self-help. You guys can go out and get these things on your own, but that's usually why they're the most used, right? And there's definitely can be a combination. If you're using standard, you are, if you're using Premier, you're also using standard, right? So those 2 get added to the bucket for standard, because again, our plans are additive. So everything in standard is available in Premier, and everything in Premier is available in Signature. So good slide. I love this idea.
Right. Awesome. And next.
Yeah, so I thought that would be a good segue into talking about what exactly are these healthy habits, right? What do we see best practice-wise, right, from all the implementations and all the product knowledge and all the customer research that we've done? What helps you guys be successful? What helps your customers be more successful when they actually are looking to adopt either a new feature or a new product? So we kind of have these healthy habits, some very high level, and I'm going to kind of add in layer in some of the different success plan features or engagements that could help support these, in case anybody is wondering. So the first thing you obviously want to do is skill up on the features to understand the requirements, the limitations, what you have to do to prepare your org, right, for that feature. And you can be using things like Trailhead to do that, right, or knowledge articles to do that, the playgrounds, right, our dev boxes. And then in Premier, you would be using things like expert coaching, right? Expert coaching is one level up where you're able to get one-on-one webinars with product and industry experts to go over some of these things. You get access to office hours, which are really great because you're able to get on the phone with other customers and actually talk peer-to-peer about these things and share ideas on use cases and what did you do when you saw this and how did you handle that. Sometimes seeing other use cases, right, can help you understand how you can leverage that feature or product better. Then you move into our business value mapping, right? This is a really important part of the process, because if you do not understand how your use cases apply to that product or feature, the implementation of that product or feature is going to have gaps, right? It's not going to drive the behavior that we want to see in our users, right? Because the process is broken in the system. So in order to have a really tight process, you want to make sure that you're looking at the value mapping, right? Which is like your business process completely mapped out. And then you want to look at all the features, requirements, limitations that you just learned about right while you skilled up, and see how you can apply those to your use cases, so that when you actually go to configure, you're super clear, right, on what your objectives are, what you have to use, right? Are you using flows? Do you have to turn something on? Do you need a special, permission, right? That is not normally part of that. So you would do all of that, and through Premier, we have a new onboarding that actually helps our customers do this type of business value mapping for the products that they're using, for the core products. So there are a lot of customers who are going to get to start taking advantage of that. I think that was released at the end of June. So we're going to hear probably a lot more about that as we get closer to Dreamforce. But there's also a lot of trailheads out there. So many trailheads on how to do business process mapping, business value mapping, how to really map out your use cases and understand how to put those to features. Then we have good data hygiene. I cannot stress enough how important good data hygiene is, especially now that we are in this AI world, right? When you look at AI, you have to look at your data. If your data is not good, even your metadata, right? When you're looking at the text you have behind the scenes for fields, right? Your help text, your, just the descriptions of why you have certain fields, why you have certain objects, all of that plays into AI. So this is a really good call out, especially, like I said, with the AI journey that so many of our customers are on right now, is good data hygiene. So understanding your data, understanding where you have dirty data that needs to be cleaned up and prioritizing those cleanup efforts, really looking into maximizing things like the duplication rules, right, to make sure you're getting rid of duplicate records, right? So this all falls in line, right? Because if you have really good tight process, then you're going to have less duplication in your system. And then when you bring in more complex products like Data Cloud, right, which really try to harmonize all of your data, you're going to get a much better result out of using a product like that if your data is in a good shape. So good data hygiene, I can't stress enough how doing those efforts are really important. And when you get to Premier and Standard, there are some engagements that can help. Through Premier, we have something called org health checks, where they use a lot of tooling to go behind the scenes and really take a look at your, the basis of your platform to see if you have, any core issues, redundancies, data, things like that, to try to help put you in a position where we can bring those to the surface, right? Help bubble those up so that you can put a plan in place to help, mitigate those problems, fix those issues before you go further in your implementation. And then through Signature, we have things like an annual technical health review, right, where we can go even deeper than that. You would work with your CSM, which is your customer success manager, and you would work through all your use cases, and they do a much deeper dive into your technical health and help bring, bubble up all those data issues. And then the last is really establishing your change management processes. These are so crucial to making sure that you land well after you implement, because it starts in the beginning, right? We want to make sure we have user training. We want to make sure we have internal issue tracking for after you launch, right? Your users need to know who to go to if they have issues, what information they have to provide you, which helps you then provide information to Salesforce support to help expedite issue resolution. And then you want data and AI governance. You don't want to just implement these things and then, just let them go and see what happens. You really want to make sure somebody's paying attention, right? Running reports to see if you have duplicate data, running reports to make sure that, all of the information that your users are inputting is what needs to be inputted, that they're following the process, that they're adopting the product. And again, there's so much in Trailhead on change management and data and AI governance that everybody, right, because it's standard, can take advantage of. So I'm going to pause here, see if there's any questions before we move on to the last part. No? Good? Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty thorough. I'm going to move on to the next one where we will ask you for self-assessment.
Self-assessment.
How healthy are your team's habits? You can rate yourself on the 4 adoption success habits that Crystal shared. So we're going to start with the first one. Skill up on features to understand requirements, limitations, and org preparation. Have you felt unprepared? Has your team scrambled to implement things they didn't know how to do and they didn't have the answers? I hope you can access this. And if you haven't,
is like if you've implemented something and your users aren't using it, right? They're falling back on manual processes. They're doing workarounds, so swivel chairing to legacy systems they still might have access to. Those are all really good indicators of poor adoption. So if you're seeing those things, don't tell me you've got this.
Yeah. So if you say we've got this, everybody is very quiet. No, they don't contact you about anything. No. They just keep praising you and saying, this is amazing. This is amazing. I love it. I use it every day, all the time. But some people haven't done any implementation, so you may not have an answer for this, but we can see what other people are.
Even just general knowledge, right, about some of the healthy habits we just talked about. Even if you're not using them today, if you're looking to get into the ecosystem, right, or you're in between jobs right now, where skilling up on these things and understanding is only going to make you better at whatever you're looking to do in the system. So even if you have knowledge about them, right, or you've used them before, would be good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So we've got a few answers in there. Next, business value mapping and process prioritization to understand your use cases, how to apply them, and order of importance. I was just talking on the phone with somebody who contacted me. She is a fellow workshop facilitator. She's really, I think her role is innovation facilitator at her company. And they are going to be deciding whether or not they will use Salesforce or another CRM. But she was asked to have a workshop to kick things off and to try to understand, where to start with the process. They have an old CRM that doesn't work. No one uses it, in other words. And we were talking about mapping out the process, especially for the sales team, and then also for the customers and their journey. So this can be really important. Maybe you think you understand it and you have never put it out visually, but it's important to have it all there so everyone can kind of see it in real life. Okay, so I got a lot of above average. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
How about good data hygiene and prioritizing cleanup and standardization efforts? Do you have a lot of duplicate records, dirty data? Don't ask. Yeah, sometimes it's out of the admin's hands what kind of data they get, and it can take a while to get to a good place. Sometimes they have to start with changing the way people can enter data.
Yes, changing habits. That's why business value mapping is so important, right? Because it really drives the data that gets into the system or the behavior of those users.
Yeah. All right. I was also talking to her about this. I was like, you do not want to just take and dump a bunch of old
Oh,
records and
the old lift
into your
and shift.
system, and because that will just lead to people being so frustrated with the new system, they'll blame it on the system, and instead
They
it's
lose
actually the
trust. I
data.
think that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing, right? The end result of poor data is not only, implementation risk, right? Issues, but it's also just getting the baseline day-to-day metrics out of your system, which is a big reason why a lot of our SMB customers purchase Salesforce. Is they're looking to centralize their customers' information, right? To be able to get something out of it. They want to grab all the information, turn it into something usable, but it's really hard to do that if you're not completing the right information, right? So even starting with, what are you looking to get metrics on? What are you looking to report on, right? Because what we always used to say is, if it doesn't exist in the system, it doesn't exist, right? So you cannot report on it if you're not entering it into the system. It's not just going to magically appear. If Salesforce could make your coffee and walk your dog, I'm sure Mark would figure out a way to do that, but it doesn't. So
Yeah.
you have to put the effort in, right, to make sure that you understand what you're looking to get out of it, right? What are your business goals and objectives, or the metrics
Yeah.
that you're looking to report on.
Yeah, and I see at least one or two people have clicked on the highest level, and it might be good to hear from them
Yeah.
about how they got there.
Yes.
Was it just an accident? Did they just fall into a really pretty data, or did they do something? Can
Lots of
somebody
MPM
comment about that?
beforehand.
I hired an
Is it
assistant.
okay? And what did that
Quite
assistant do?
literally it. Been helping a lot with duplicate management. Um, our problem was that we had been really good about finding the duplicates and creating our rules, um, and kind of finding these weird niche scenarios. But nobody had the time to sort of set aside to go and knock them out, right? And I would say our use case is a little bit different than most. So some of our duplicates were pretty weird. We have like subsidiary companies, um, and conglomerates, and those are, yeah, not easy. So I would say having a specific person to kind of just own that entire process is really crucial.
Right, right. I'm sure we
Yeah,
all
it
have
has
little.
to be prioritized for sure. Somebody has to go in there and run those reports, see what's being missed, update your rules, right? It is definitely a large chunk of somebody's time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that was my job for 3.5 years after
Wow.
we moved over from NGOC to NPSP, and I would still be doing it, but I got laid off. So
Oh, well,
Yeah.
data governance is definitely something that any company can use. So those are really, really good skills to market yourself.
Joe
Jonathan.
Joe is writing down your name, saying,
Yeah.
when we need a full-time person to do this, we'll. Yeah, I know it made me think about all those little things on your to-do list that keep getting shoved to the next day that you don't do, and you just do the ones that are like immediately due and are on
Yeah.
fire, and people kind of just deal with the bad data and deal with it, and it just backs up until it's just a showstopper. At some point, you're like, we
Yeah.
can't do this. We
It
can't
is,
be
because
losing
that's what's going to end up
time.
stopping you from being able to do whatever is coming next, right? Eventually, the tech debt and the data issues get so deep that you have to prioritize, and then it's just a monster. So,
Yeah, and I do want to point out that if anyone has the opportunity to hire like an intern, even temporarily, to work on something like this, a Salesforce, there's lots of people who would love to have an opportunity for a part-time, time limited experience working on a real org and helping to clean up your org's data. All right, let's move on to the next one. establish change management processes that include user training, internal issue tracking, and data/AI governance and oversight. I talked about the first two with this woman as well. She didn't know anything about Salesforce or CRM, so I was like, you need to watch out for these things.
Yeah, because so many people come in and they assume their partner is going to take care of these things for them, right? Or Salesforce is going to take care of these things for them. But having ownership over your system is like rule number one to your success, right?
Right.
Making sure your customers understand that, as a customer understanding that, right? Like you are responsible for your system at the end of the day when your partner leaves and when Salesforce isn't around as much anymore, right? And you've gotten over that 90-day bell curve and your users are starting to throw all this stuff at you, right?
Right.
So it's really important to start strong with good training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure your users have a clear path for issue escalation.
Right. And a lot of people think that it's just one and done, and we've got our Salesforce in quotes, and then it's just going to stay great forever. But obviously that the reality is not that way. And there needs to be a way for people to learn the new things that you've updated or improved or changed, and obviously tell them when things aren't working to fix.
Yeah, and if you think about how much change management is used, right? We have 3 major releases a year, and then we have monthly minor releases for other managed packages, mobile, right? So depending on how many clouds you have, right, and how many products and features you use under those clouds, change management is huge, right? Because you're always going to be implementing something. You're always going to be looking to do the next best thing to help your users be more efficient, right? So change management it's never too late, right? Even if you don't have great practices now, you can always start them at any point.
Great. Yes. Okay. So is that the last one? I can't remember how many we've done. All right. So this one is about Crystal. You know that these certain ways that people can get help from Salesforce through Standard, Premier, and I'm forgetting the last one.
Signature.
Signature. Thank you. I was like, Silver? No, it's not.
It's close.
Well, yeah. So we want to know like where you're getting, what resources and support you're getting and from where, other than through Salesforce. Don't mention Trailhead because that's now it's part of the standard and also the help documents as well. So anything else that you use, it could be a forum of people. Salesforce or HANA comes to mind. Obviously, Salesforce Ben. There's other people. Yep, the community and peers, community groups. And where are those community groups located? Obviously, there's community groups that we're in right now. I don't know if this is a part of standard. We're Trailblazer communities, but obviously we're somewhat supported by Salesforce. It's a lot of volunteer.
Yeah,
work
this
that
is
goes
all
into this.
part of like the standard digital, but that's okay. If you are leaning on Salesforce
They'd love to know.
success plans, throw it in there, right? If you are actively using Trailhead, love to hear it. If you're a Premier customer and you use expert coaching and you've had an org health check, great. If you didn't, because you didn't know they existed, go use them because you're paying for them.
Right. And I'm the only one here, I think, that has been through the Talent Stacker program. But if you're a member of the Talent Stacker program, you'll see that we have like the standard group, and then we have a group for people who have obtained a job already and they're kind of advancing in their career. There's lots of questions in there that are answered, where people put the issue that they're having. Sometimes people will say, I'll jump on a call with you, whenever they can set that up. There's also some other Facebook groups like Salesforce for Everyone, which is a public group. Lots of questions in there. Clicked, awesome. Trailhead, Dave Massey, and yeah, the courses. There's courses that people pay for. and they learn a lot of things from them as well. I've been a part of Payman Lim's academy. I've been through her consultant training, master classes, and that kind of helped maybe with the business process mapping, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So leaning on experts and other kinds of resources online.
Yeah.
Okay, cries for help to the void. I was going to say there's probably someone who's just like,
Ah, it's so true then, because it can be like a black hole of just stuff out there, right? And you don't really know
yep,
what to utilize
right.
for what.
So my custom GPT is the first time I've seen AI mentioned.
Mm,
I bet more people are using AI than they can remember at this moment, but
yeah, for sure.
there's a lot of good that can come of that. All right. I see some people are still learning. And I think the last, I'm going to move on. I hope that was okay.
Yeah, I just want to add really quick.
We're over time. Sorry.
Oh, we are?
Are we not over time? We're not over time at all. Sorry. It
Oh,
ends at
I was like,
8:30.
oh my gosh, I thought we ended at 8:30. That would have been my fault.
Silent screen.
It's okay. I just wanted to add really quickly, if anyone is interested in learning more about Premiere, right? That's really the next level up from standard that gets you some of those expedited SLAs, right, for issue resolution, and then gets you access to some of those features like our onboarding program, which includes the business value mapping and success paths, right, to help get you back on a good path if you're not on one right now. And then we're talking about things like expert coaching. So developer support, which is a great call out, depending on the product you have. There's a certain level of developer support that's available for those products. Talk to your AE, figure out who your AE is, right? And go talk to them. Because when we talk about good adoption, we understand that our customers can't do that alone, right? Like it's really not something, that screen that we were just on where everybody was entering all the different things that they use to help support, right? It's a village, right? It takes a village to keep your Salesforce org healthy and running, and your users adopting all of our products, all the great things that we're putting out there. So we're here to help, right? So talk to your AE, get some information. If you don't know where to start and you don't even know who your AE is, find me on LinkedIn. I will help you figure out, who that person is and how you can get more information.
Awesome. Yeah, and do not neglect the standard resources if you're not using them
100%.
to their fullest.
Yeah.
I jumped to the end, but now this is the last slide before the end. We have about 20 minutes left that we can have people ask questions. It could be for Crystal. It could be putting it out to the universe and maybe someone else has an answer. You can, in Mentimeter, there should be a little speech bubble, I guess. Looks like with 3 dots in it, and you can click that. And we have a question already. How many people have to take a CERT exam for bulk discounts? Do you know the answer to this?
So I do not know the exact number of certification exams that are included in that bulk discount, but I can definitely find out. So whoever asked that question, circle back with me on LinkedIn so I have your name, or you can give me your name right now, and I can follow up with you. I don't want to take my attention away to go search my
Sure.
screen, so I will
Someone else is Googling it right now, and they'll put it in the chat maybe.
Yeah, it might be in there. I'm sure it is.
Maybe. We'll see. If no one can find it, Crystal will help you out. I'm going to click to mark this one answered. I don't know if there's any other questions. We don't have anyone want to come off mute and say something verbally?
I was typing.
Okay.
Kind of a long question.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is for Crystal. Within Premier support, what does the onboarding process look like? And then, once you've onboarded, I guess what would be the best solution to get sort of customized feedback or customized support, because I feel like a lot of the time it's very generic. I feel like the person has kind of just pulled up Trailhead on their screen and is just reading the Spark notes, if you will. And I'm left with even more questions. So I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that.
No, and I love the feedback. So I'm not sure when you were onboarded. I think I had mentioned
December.
earlier. Yeah, so the new onboarding was just launched for Premiere at the end of June. So I'm not happy to hear that you didn't have a great onboarding experience to begin with. But it's exactly why we went through what we went through. We didn't really have a standardized onboarding for Premiere. We had one for Signature. So it was being done more of an ad hoc fashion, which is probably what gave you the
So
experience.
it was a manual process. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
What's that?
It was a manual process that the AEs had to go through to onboard you. Is that correct?
No, it's not really even your AE. So we didn't really have anything specific for Premiere for onboarding. Nothing really official, right? That was put out by the offer management team, which owns our success plan engagements. So I'm looking up the map right now just so I can be super thorough with you when I tell you about the experience. So now the full experience starts with a kickoff with your onboarding specialist. Again, this is the new onboarding that just came out. You have a 1-hour capability assessment with your onboarding specialist. And then another kickoff call where they go over your business objectives, you're mapping your goals, right, which is what we were talking about earlier, to your Salesforce capabilities. We do ask our customers to do some internal prep beforehand, right, to make sure that everybody is aligned. We do the same thing on our side, right, make sure your whole account team is aligned. And then we do some more internal prep on our end to kind of take all the information from those calls and give you what we call a success path, which is another new feature that just recently was released. And we do like a 2-hour readout with your onboarding specialist to go over your success path and align on next steps. And then you guys kind of go off and, start checking off those things, right? And then we do a 90-day check-in. And that's a very shortened timeline explanation of what we do in the new onboarding program. So if you were just onboarded in December, why don't you give me your information? Because I'm going to see if I can help get you guys re-onboarded.
Yeah, we basically canceled the contract.
Yeah, that's
We
super
had
sad
a-
to hear because we just came out with this and like the feedback we've gotten on this has been so awesome. So,
I bet. No, it sounds great. It took about 2 weeks for us to get onboarded. And after we were basically onboarded, it took another 2 weeks to schedule an expert coaching call. And then once that was complete, it proved to basically be, you know, unhelpful,
yeah.
to say that nicely. Um, and yeah, just overall, it wasn't a great experience, but I definitely think there was potential. I
Yeah.
think maybe we just got the short end of the stick, if you will.
Yeah, no, and I think that the expert coaching, the only real background I can give you on that is normally if you're requesting a one-on-one, it does go through a whole process on our end to make sure that it's aligned with an industry and product expert. So that takes a little bit of time for us to get that case through the system, make sure we're aligning you with somebody who's going to give you the right content. But if it was just a regular webinar, that sounds a little odd to me.
Basically, we just had a very obscure problem that nobody knew how to solve. And basically, we thought the best way to go about that was meeting with either a product manager, which we weren't able to do, or a expert, right?
What you
And
probably really could have used, and again, Signature is usually for our more enterprise level customers, but they have an architecture design review, right? And what that is, a customer initiated engagement where you're able to come with your design documentation and say, hey, here are the issues we're running into while we're trying to implement this feature, this product, right? And then our architects can actually get involved, review that information, put together recommendations, right? So that probably sounds more aligned to what you were looking for. We are looking to try to put something in place for Premier that is less hands-on, but still provides some of that guidance, right, on how to use well architected, right, and how to really try to lay out a good plan. So it sounds like those
No,
resources
100%.
probably would have been helpful.
I think, yeah, at the end of the day, like we were kind of sold this product is like, oh, this is going to be like customized and tailored to you, and it's going to be, you know, super helpful. And we didn't really, you know, reap any of those rewards.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not saying that nobody else has. Just wasn't my experience.
Well, again, I'm super sorry to hear that you didn't have a great
No,
experience.
you're totally fine.
But
Yeah.
and I don't take any of this personally because I don't own any of these features or engagements. So the critical feedback is okay. And I am going to pass it on to our Premier team so they're fully aware. So again, any information you can give me, Joe, on the company and that will just be helpful in case they want to circle back with your account team. But I hope you guys will look at it again in the future because I promise you we're calling this our year of Premier, and we're putting a lot of effort into that offer because of feedback like that. So it's meaningful, good or bad, right?
And I think it's really helpful that you brought that up, Joe, because it pulled out of Crystal a few more details about what people can currently experience with the new process of onboarding, which obviously has changed recently. And I hope that it will be better in the future and not have any short ends of the stick anymore. But we have another question. Is the onboarding intended for new to Salesforce orgs or also good for mature orgs?
Yeah, so we have new logo onboarding, which is like brand new to Salesforce. But if you just purchased Premier, you get onboarded, right? So they take a little bit of a different path, right? Because you're at two different places, right? So the focus for our customers during an implementation is a little different than our customers who are already implemented, right? You guys who are already implemented are dealing with more issues around data hygiene and, you know, things like that where, you know, some of our customers who are in an implementation may need help finding a partner, you know, more heavy on the business value mapping side of things to make sure they're implemented the right way. The paths are basically the same, but there may be some differences in the success path readouts that you get if you're new logo or existing. But long and short of it is you get one either way, either when you're net new and you purchase Premier and you're not implemented yet, or let's say, you know, you're 2 years into your implementation and you finally bite the bullet and purchase Premier, you'll get onboarded.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Okay.
Awesome. Well, I do want to throw out there, slightly unrelated to adoption, but I obviously want to say a huge thank you to Talia for all of her help putting this presentation together. It was not even remotely interactive before she got her hands on it, and her expertise was greatly appreciated in this area. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And obviously to Amma and the rest of the team for helping support. And for you guys for all attending. Something I had talked to Amma about in a separate message was more along the lines of mentoring. So I'm just putting it out there. If there's any interest, we can do future sessions on how to pivot your career, which I've done 7 or 8 times in the last 15 years, right? How to kind of take where your career is now and pivot it to another area in the ecosystem, right? Using the knowledge you have today to do something else, right? Move yourself up, give yourself a promotion. Or if you're in a laid off position or new to the ecosystem, how do you get in? right? What resources can you lean on? What kind of things in Trailhead can you lean on? We have so much in the Trailblazer community, which I'm sure Talia and the rest of that team are fully aware of, like the marketplace. So we do a lot of these mentoring sessions, and I let Amma know that I'd be more than happy to do one with some of the groups in the Central Florida area as well.
Yeah, that's a good
And
suggestion, Crystal. That would be great if we can have that kind of a session for, especially for newbies.
absolutely. Lots of people are looking for mentorship. It can lead to lifelong, friendships and relationships. It can give you insight into career paths that you didn't know about or didn't understand. And I just wanted to highlight the Trailblazer mentorship program. Salesforce has eliminated their mentorship connection program. So
yeah, well, I did that 3 times. It was great.
yeah,
I'm also a mentor of this
great
program.
program. Say it again.
I'm also a mentor of this program.
Awesome. And I just want to point that out to anybody who wants to be a mentor or a mentee. This is a platform where you can be matched up, and you can find your mentor that you seem to be attracted to, whatever they're into and their background. But they have cohorts. They kind of match people every few months, and they just matched a bunch of people recently. And this is a great opportunity for sponsors to sponsor this, because it's a free program for the mentees, and you can do this as well. So we're happy to have this in our community to make up for maybe the gap there. There's also another group of people that are trying to help with the mentorship gap as well, and probably other kind of more informal ways that people find their mentors.
Yeah, mentorship is really, really huge. So I totally agree. Doing something like that in conjunction to coming to a session where you just learn about, even just knowing where to look, right? The difference between working for Salesforce, working for a Salesforce customer, working for ISVs. Most people don't even realize ISVs are out there, right? They hire, you get really good experience working for ISVs. Without actually having to have a lot of the certifications that partners or customers, right, might want you to have right off the bat. So we go through a lot of that and how to use your current skill sets, right, to pivot to something else. A lot of people don't even realize how applicable their current skill sets are to all of the different roles within the ecosystem, or even to Talia's point, what roles exist in the ecosystem, right? People just don't even realize. I have been lucky enough to spend the last 16 years working in the ecosystem and doing all of these different things. And most of the time I had no idea that my next role even existed in the ecosystem before I was able to do some digging and figure out how to get myself that way. And I do think the community is huge. Like, people talk about Ohana, but I think for me, Ohana is not like that cheesy, cliche thing. It's this, right? It's Talia taking her time to help me put this presentation together, right? It's all the user groups giving us time to do this, all the users coming and helping each other. So this is all just part of the ecosystem. So I'm more than happy to help. I think we were just trying to really gauge some interest, but I'll work with Amma to see how else we can do that outside of this call as well.
Yeah. And if you are not already following, I have a LinkedIn user group page for the Gainesville, Florida group. You can follow that page and receive, hopefully, you'll be more likely to see our posts about events that we're hosting. We do a lot of virtual things, but if you want to follow Pompano Beach, the Dev developers group for Orlando, or the admin group for Orlando, if you're not already following them, try to join that so you can be notified of events in the future. And I want to thank our special featured guest, Crystal, and not end my presentation, but here we go. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm going to stop sharing now if anyone wants to say anything else.
Gary, I've been meaning to tell you, I'm a former coastal folk. That's where you are, right? You're at coastal. You're still muted.
Yes, I'm a coastal.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a former coastal.
How long ago was
Yes.
that?
I worked for Pam. So I did some work for Tom as well on Service Cloud
Okay.
and communities, but I was hired for Pam in managed services. So that
Pam, I know she recently got married.
yeah, her new last name. She's not Pam Bryan anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only Pam I know. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's just so funny when
She's
you
a
said
lot
that.
of
I was
fun.
like, I have to make sure I tell Gary.
I also worked for Coastal, by the way, for a period of time, and I met Gary, and I was like, yay.
So funny.
I
I
love
actually
Coastal.
just
Gary's
did
the
a
best.
session with Pam, Tom, Stacy, Lynn, and a couple of folks to talk about things from adoption from a partner perspective. So yeah, super fun.
Well, I don't want to keep everyone hostage here, but there are a few LinkedIn links in the chat if anyone is wanting to connect with Amma. She's ready to connect with you. No, that's not her personal.
No,
That's her
that
company
is
one. Her
both
page.
of our
That's
group
her group.
things.
Okay. One of them, I don't know. You'll find her page, follow it. We also have a group as well. But
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone. I'm not going to end this because I'm not in control of that, but I could just disappear.
Yes, I'm just going to say thank you and good night. Thank you for attending.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Stay well.
Thanks.